Welcome to the Mind Muse podcast, and I'm your host, Christy Turley. And today, my special guest, Dorci Hill, joins me. She is an entrepreneur and a healing dance therapist. She is the best-selling author of 3 books, and she's here to talk with us about having a happy mindset. And one of the things that is so interesting that she has taught is that it is impossible to be frustrated and happy at the same time. And so she believes that being creative and being productive is all about being happy. And she's here to share some micro habits and some mindsets that we can practice to set ourselves up with a happy mindset. So, welcome, Dorci. All right. Welcome to the show, Dorci. How are you today?
Oh my goodness, I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much. I'm ready to
Good.
talk.
Good. I'm excited. So, can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and your background?
Oh my stars, a little bit. You're asking the
Just
wrong
a little
person.
bit, and then we'll dive right into the conversation.
Okay, perfect. Well, I guess I want to say, like, really now what I'm doing is taking all these years that I've put different mind, body, spirit practices into place and combining it into one thing, which all revolves around the root for me, which is happy. And that also stems from I have 2 degrees in the health sciences, so I love how the body works on a very simplistic level, and then putting simple steps and micro habits into place that help you create a healthy, happy, fun life. So that's really me in a nutshell. And I co-authored 3 best-selling books, which I'm very excited about, working on my 4th one. And I have a weekly radio show as well where I help spread laughter and love, giggles, all that kind of thing. And so really in a nutshell, that's me. And by the way, I do break into spontaneous dance, and I love chocolate and cheesecake.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
thank you for the warning.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, good. What fascinates me about what you just said is this idea of how small things can become big things. This whole idea of
Yes.
Kaizen, which is a Japanese philosophy that little improvements over time, improving maybe by 1% every day can have a huge cumulative effect. And you mentioned something about happiness and these micro habits and mindset. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and maybe some examples of some micro habits that you have?
I love talking in micro steps, and that actually stems from my chemistry background because I was pre-med when I was in college. And so, I had to take chemistry and biology and all these other classes, and I took microbiology. So it was all these, instead of these huge instruments and test tubes and all this, it was these little bitty ones, and you're doing these small reactions. And that really just piqued my interest because I love little things. And if it's a small step, because let's face it, if you hear some people say, oh, 10 steps to this, or it's going to take 30 days, some people go, oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
too
even do
long.
it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, already, instead of going, wait, if you can do 3 little things today and do those until you make it a habit where you're not even thinking about it, and you're just doing it, then you can add to that and add to that. And then all of a sudden you have these aha moments where you go, oh, wow, I've gotten rid of this. I don't do that. I've changed this. And you have this whole list of things that you're now doing subconsciously, and it's made your life healthier. It's made your life happier. And one of the big things for me, a simple step is, honestly, and I know it's overused, I get it, it really does make a difference, is gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people it's hard. They say, well, I don't know what to be grateful for. Or I did an article on this called gratitude schmatitude. You're kind of like, oh, whatever. The thing is, if you can wake up every day and whatever, it's like about, I think they say like the first 5 things you think of in the morning is what sets the tone for your day. So if you can get up and the first thing you think is, I am healthy, well, then your mind immediately goes to work on ways to make that happen. And if you need to, write it down, put it on some notes, put it on your mirror, on your desk, whatever. So I love little notes because I'm visual. So that's a great little way to put one to no more than three little things, whether it's gratitude sayings or motivational sayings, because it's, if you can do that for me, that's one of the things that when I see that, then that helps set my day. Because if you get up and start looking at social media and all this other mess, news, read the newspapers, we can't help to go to kind of the bad stuff or read, all the not so great. And then you kind of go off on that rabbit hole, and
Mhm.
get stuck on sort of the not so pretty things. If you can have that mindset where I'm grateful for today, or today is easy, everything I do today comes with ease, then guess what? That's what your day is going to be created from.
Yeah, and I love that you say that. And there's a couple things that you said that I want to kind of dig into a little bit more,
Okay.
because you mentioned gratitude, but I'm also hearing some affirmations in there. So, and this whole idea of whatever you start the day with is kind of what you set the tone for the
Mm-hmm.
day. So, if you wanted to set it off on a really negative, anxious moment, you would go on your phone first thing and dig through
Yes.
your social media or look at the news, what happened while I was sleeping. And gratitude, it really does change everything.
Yes.
And for people who might be having a difficult time finding something to be grateful for, I loved how you
Mm-hmm.
said, hey, I'm just grateful to have my health. Or if you don't have your health, hey, are you breathing?
Yeah.
Grateful to be breathing and to be
Exactly.
alive. And just starting there, it's the highest emotion that we can feel. So that's
It is.
so tell me a little bit about the difference between, what does practicing gratitude look like? Like what if someone wanted to start a gratitude practice,
Mm-hmm.
what would they do to start? And then also the affirmations. I want to talk about that after you answer that.
Okay. I'm going to write myself a note. I'm a note taker, so I
Oh,
don't
I'll
forget.
remind you.
Okay, great, because I get off on tangents.
Oh, it's okay. That's cool.
Yes. Well, here's something that I'd love to talk about as a writer and an avid reader. I'd love to bookend the day. So, what I would tell people when I talk about being grateful or having a gratitude system in your life, if you will, because I know a lot of your listeners are in the entrepreneurial space or the business space, so they're more of a system oriented. So, if you put a gratitude system in place, start off the day with, and I really, I love three because it's an easy number. It's also in numerology a very powerful number. And so pick three things, even if you don't believe it yet. Pick three things that are in your highest and greatest good, saying, I am healthy, or I have abundant health. I am wealthy, or I am prosperous, whatever words you want to use. And then whatever other one you want to pick, my day flows with ease, or I have a happy family, whatever is most important to you. So pick three. And I would say either take your phone and record yourself saying these so that you hear your voice. Or if you're more visual, put them on a post it note or a sticky note and stick them somewhere where you're doing your morning routine, whether it's, for most people, going to be maybe your bathroom in the mirror so you can see it as you're getting ready, as you're brushing your teeth, whatever. Then to bookend it at the end of the day, because now you started the day, you started your mind thinking of happy thoughts, of grateful thoughts, of ease, of health. So the mind only knows what you tell it. So if you tell it, I'm happy, I'm grateful, I'm wealthy, I am working with ease, it immediately goes to grab all of those things for you. And then at the end of the day, right before you go to sleep, because whatever you think as you're going to sleep, your mind immediately works on. And I know people know this because if you go to bed and have a problem, it's like your mind stews on it and stews on it all night. You toss, you turn, you don't sleep very well. If you go to bed and look at those same three and just say, I am grateful for the ease in which my day flowed. I'm grateful for how healthy I was today. Or, whatever three you put down, and just say a thank you as you're going to sleep for those three, your mind works on creating more. because your mind creates a loop and it starts looking for those gratitude, grateful moments. And then it becomes easier to add in a fourth one, to add in a fifth one, to add in more.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and it's so funny. It's like how many of us watch TV right before we go to bed?
Wow,
And
I
then
don't.
and then have dreams about people chasing us
I
or
know.
it's like, okay, it's fine. You can watch TV before bed, but before you drift off, all we're saying is
Yes.
have this practice so you reset your brain, you reset your mind, and you
Mhm.
can go into this subconscious state.
Yes.
Um, Now, do you know any of the science behind this? Like alpha waves, theta waves, delta waves, anything like that?
There is, of course, tons of science, and I love the what they call binaural beats,
Oh, yeah.
because the music in different meditative songs or even spoken meditation are made to resonate to where they will ping, if you will, attach onto different neural centers in the brain and cause relaxation. They will cause, your body to stop creating so many physical stressors. And that's been proven, which I love. So as you go through these different states of sleep, and one thing I do like to tell people is if you watch TV, I don't watch TV before I go to bed. I don't watch it in bed. I'm just one of those, my bedroom is my sleep sanctuary. So my body knows the minute I go in that room and get in that bed, it's time to sleep, not work. It's time to sleep and repair. And I get it. A lot of people do, listen to something as they drift off. There are some fantastic guided spoken meditations that you can listen to that will shift you out of that crazy spinning mind where it slows the mind. It gets you into the different, alpha and theta waves as you're going to into the deeper sleep, and also recreate these gratitude patterns. So that's what I love
I love that.
about, a lot of the science behind it, because it makes sense the way the nerves and the neurons work when you put these specific sound waves. Because the thing is, you can actually hook somebody up and see on a monitor the
Hmm.
different waves,
Yes.
and you can see the sound frequency matching up to your actual neural frequency, which
Yep.
is fantastic.
Yep. Yeah,
So
I'm
I love that.
obsessed with brain waves and I think it's so, so, so interesting, especially
Yes.
like if you're trying to concentrate during the day or
Mhm.
be more creative, inducing an alpha state, which is the alpha waves of your brain, like you mentioned, the binaural um,
Yes.
music or whatever. You can find them on. Do you have some apps? There's some apps and music that you would
Oh,
recommend?
girl, let me tell you, I just
Okay.
found this new one.
Cool.
There's a couple. I'm going to make sure that I say the right one. I have a few bookmarked on YouTube. So there are some for free, which I love free. And, I love some that are a few that are paid. Two of my favorite are, let's see
And
here.
I'll put these in the show notes too. So,
Yes,
yeah.
are Doxy, and it's like a dachshund. It's Dauchsy, Doxy.
Okay.
Some of the most fantastic, and then meditative thoughts, I believe, is one of the other ones that's one of my
Okay.
favorites. Those are some great ones. And there's a new app that I just got, believe it or not, that you just said that, Sync Tuition.
Ooh, I like that name.
I know.
That's really good.
And you can do 7 days for free, and then you have to pay like a yearly subscription. And I think you get 3 or 4 25-minute meditations at all times. And then to do the rest, to unlock the rest, you have to pay for it. They are wonderful for someone who thinks, and this cracks me up when I say, like, do some sort of meditative practice or yoga practice or gratitude, system or whatever, they go, oh, Dorci, I can't sit around in lotus position in yoga pants with my fingers together and all day long. I'm like, okay, great. I don't either. That's not what I'm talking about. Or they'll say, oh, I can't meditate because I can't, shut my mind off. And I'm thinking, you're the person that needs to do it because
Right.
your mind
Yeah,
needs a rest.
I was one of those people like who would
Yes.
say that and I found that yeah, I definitely needed it. Mhm.
Well, our minds are computers. We forget how powerful they are, and it needs a break because we can't plug into a computer, download everything, put it in different folders, and then start fresh. So we have to give it a chance to slow down, reorganize, and not be so scattered so that it can find the solutions. It can search for the answers to the problems and create the opportunities that in a frenzied state it's not going to find,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And something too, I don't know if anyone does this. We were talking about sleep. Something I found out recently, if you're someone, because I was guilty of this, if you set your alarm and you snooze it, even once, twice, a couple times,
Oh.
it creates what's called sleep inertia. I had not heard that. I was like, oh, this is interesting. So if you do that in the morning, then it literally creates about a 3 to 4 hour period after that where you don't really have the focus, where you're sort of scattered. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true because some days, if it was like 8 o'clock, I was getting up a little bit later, and then all of a sudden it would be between 10 to 12 before I started really getting going. So that's something to think about too, is getting up out of bed, not snoozing, and immediately starting your mind thinking on those positive, grateful thoughts. And then you recreate a whole new day.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to mention, I want to share two of my favorite apps. I have
Please, yes.
Think Up. You can
Ooh.
record your own affirmations and then you can have it go to music. Now, it's not binaural beats, but what I
Okay.
found is that you can turn on another app, Relax Melodies, and you can put on the binaural beats, which is again those alpha waves that you want to have during the day, or
Mm-hmm.
delta or theta waves at night. And you can use it either with headphones or without. They have different options for that, so that's really cool. And I
Nice.
even kind of nerded out one day, and I made my own in GarageBand on my
Oh,
computer, and
fun.
I just typed up all these affirmations that I wanted to start to sink in, and then I put it to. I actually made two tracks. One that was alpha, so I could listen to it during the day,
Mm-hmm.
very subtly suggesting to my mind as I'm working, as well as listen to it right before bed, or even upon waking up,
Mm-hmm.
while I'm brushing my teeth or whatever. So um,
That's fantastic.
yeah, and I found it to be very helpful. And then for my gratitude practice, I actually write in a journal, and I just write things that I'm grateful for now.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, there's a lot of stuff that we have. I want.
Something I do want to say just right quick, if I may, is something that also helped me, and I see a lot of people or hear a lot of people do this, when we're talking about being in a state of gratitude, because then you're also open to receiving.
Mhm.
A key to that is to stop claiming the bad or the not so great that's in your life,
Mhm.
including like illnesses or situations or
Yes.
job, because it's so easy to go into, being on the struggle bus or being in a negative attitude. And when I stopped claiming, for one thing, health stuff, I stopped saying my allergies or my,
Or
digestive
I feel
issues.
this way, instead
Yes.
disconnecting from it a little bit, like my body feels tired instead of
Yes.
I feel tired, right?
Yes, I
Yeah,
would
it
say
is.
I'm having a histamine reaction,
Yeah.
and
Or
it's
my body is
amazing.
experiencing allergies.
Yes,
Yes, totally
yes,
true. Because
it's amazing.
it is, and that is actually like how you can more positively frame it, so it doesn't become an affirmation. You know,
Precisely, yes,
or a self-fulfilling prophecy, like,
yes,
oh, every fall I feel this way, it's like,
yes,
or whatever it is. So true,
exactly.
because your mind, whether you're aware or not, is taking in the information, your subconscious,
Oh,
which is
yes,
the thing that runs the whole show. Like, let's
yes.
just You know, we think it's our conscious mind.
No,
No, no, no, no.
no,
It's the
no.
subconscious stuff, the stuff that's buried beneath that is
Exactly.
actually, yeah, becoming your thoughts and your actions and everything. So,
Well, that's just so true. Your thoughts become things.
mhm,
And where you focus, energy flows. So if you focus on and only seeing the bad, the negative, the not so great, or the unhealthy, well, guess what? That's all you're going to have because
right.
you will manifest it physically. You'll manifest physical symptoms and you'll manifest physical situations,
Yes,
you
so
know.
true. So true. Well, you talk a lot about, and I think it's the happiness mindset handbook that you have that I took a look at. You have a lot of tips in there. Could you share just a few habits, maybe that someone could adopt during the day to have more of a happy attitude? Again, it's like, it's hard to be 100%. Like, no one's perfect. No one's
Oh, no,
happy
no,
100% of the time.
no,
Like, right, and
exactly.
not being afraid to feel the opposite emotions either, because it's important to have the full gamut in this life, right? But
It
and also
is.
just to be a healthy person, right? But how can we infuse more happiness?
Well, okay, and I say this in the happiness handbook, and it's true. I realize, and I'm not delusional, that, I have ups and downs and good days and bad days, and I have some struggles and whatnot. So I'm not saying that every day is like, a rose colored glass, glittery unicorn rose world. That's the world I want to be in, and I strive to look at things from that viewpoint. However, yes, things are going to come up. And what I find is that I've worked really hard to develop it's almost like a happiness muscle, like with any habit. And so now my subconscious, because I put so many steps and things into place for myself, that it's an easy situation or an easy place to go back to that happiness state. And it can be depending, like I'm a very active, very creative, very much in movement, and I have a hard time sitting still. So one of the things for me, if I have to sit at a desk all day, I go bananas. Okay, I just can't do it. So I will give myself, I don't know if you've heard Pomodoro time.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay,
explain what it is for those that might not
love.
have.
Pomodoro time is just, and I love you can get a cute timer on your phone or an actual like old fashioned like egg timer or something like that, and put on your desk or near your desk and set it for about 30 minutes. And then just really go crazy for 30 solid minutes on one task. And it's amazing when you compartmentalize time like that, how much you get done and your mind doesn't wander. And then I will get up because for me, one of my happy places is moving, is dancing. So of course you have to find what makes you happy, what makes your inner child happy, whether it's coloring, it's being, moving around, maybe listening to a funny or a cool song that you really like. You have a playlist. So for me, it's getting up, moving around, whether it's going outside. I have a balance ball. I'll sometimes sit on that and kind of do a little bouncing, little hippity hoppity, kind of thing, because it makes me happy. It gets me out of that work, 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 work mindset. Then my mind relaxes a little bit, has some fun, and then I can come back and do another 30 minutes of Pomodoro heavy work time. It's amazing how much more you get done. And then guess what? At the end of the day, when you look at everything you've cleared off, tell me you're not happy.
Yeah, and I like it too because it's kind of a game. It's kind of like,
Yes.
see how much I can get done in these
I
30
know.
minutes,
I
right?
know. It
Yeah.
really is amazing when you put your mind to it. The mind is just so powerful. What you can accomplish in short increments of time instead of trying to have this. Because I'll be honest with you, if I have an entire list of things and if I look at that, that alone exhausts me. Okay, I'm already done just looking at that list. Even though I know it needs to be done, if I can look at it and go, okay, whatever I can do for the next 30 minutes, perfect. You
Totally.
know, so that's a great little easy tip, to start creating new habits because even though it's more work related, when you get things done and you know you've done them well and they're cleared off, it doesn't put you in a state of, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to finish that, because that's a loop that is very destructive.
Yep.
And if you can get out of that and do these little increments, like I said, at the end of the day, you go, oh my gosh, look how much I did. Then you're like excited and you're ready to do more. And then you have time to do more. So that's an easy one. Of course, we've already talked about, the book ending, because I love book ending, starting and ending your day with gratitude. So those are a couple of
Yeah.
really
And
easies.
I want to just follow up too. Like, I think it's so important just to re-emphasize that whole
Mhm.
point about, when you're just working and working and working heads down, like you're going to get burned out so much
Oh,
faster. And
yes.
I have a mentor that is always saying like, take a win, and what she means by
Yes.
that is not necessarily like go on a shopping spree, although
Yeah.
that wouldn't be out of a question, like
I
for a
mean,
really big
hey.
goal, right? But the point is to take these smaller wins more frequently,
Yes.
and it could be as simple as going and getting your favorite drink at the cafe, or
Yes.
whatever it is, and that is so important. And like you said, you were saying the
Yep.
inner child, what makes your inner child happy? We all have
Yes.
one. We like to pretend
Yes.
we don't have one.
Oh, and she or he is there.
And they're going to kick and scream if you don't take
Oh,
a break. Eventually, you're going to
yes.
get burnt out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
You're
talked
going to have
about
to have
that.
a new day.
Yeah, I actually talked about that today. I said I have a radio show myself, and I had talked about that with my guest today, your rebellious inner child. And that's where, we get into when you don't let them out or find what makes them happy, because it never goes away. And I guarantee you there's some little thing that you can do, whether it's in your day or whatever. We even gave some examples. One of them, okay, I'm not recommending this because this would make me agitated, although this was, kind of funny. She had a mentor in a mastermind group that gave them, I was like, oh, I would have to just slap her, I think, for this. Is she gave them ice cream cones, look like ice cream, and they went to lick it, and it was actually mashed potatoes on the ice cream
Oh,
cone.
no.
I
That's
was like,
awful.
I was like, you little stinker,
That's
that's not
no,
funny.
that's like thinking it's a chocolate chip cookie and you bite it and it's oatmeal raisin.
I
That's
know, and you
horrible.
go, hey, wait a minute. And I said, no, no. I said, now, of course, I mean, because it's not an ugly prank. And of course, everybody laughed about it. And then they did go get actual ice cream. So it's sometimes just having a little bit of fun, acting up just a little bit that doesn't hurt somebody, that gives you that moment of laughter, of joy, lightens the moment. And then it's amazing how easy it is to get back into your day, and it flows easier without the struggle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Because it's actually fun and something that you're enjoying.
Yes.
You're enjoying the journey. It's not
Yeah.
a destination, it's a journey, right? We always hear that, but
Lots of steps.
finding the joy and the journey is the key, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, for someone who's not finding joy in the journey, let's just say, like, what are
Okay.
some ways for someone to get out of a funk?
And that so depends. I'm a huge believer for mind, body, spirit, anything, that every body, physical body is so different. And I can say, oh, I've got the best plan, the best ideas, and, help everybody. Okay, well, I'm already telling a big fat fib, because it's not going to help everybody. So when I talk to people, I really do sit and figure out, okay, what used to, if you're not in a happy place now, when you were younger, so you're going to have to think back a little bit, what really made you happy? Was it riding a bike with your arms out and letting the wind, kind of just rush around you? Was it sitting under a tree listening to the leaves? Was it going to a water source? Was it coloring or singing? Or I guarantee you
Or
there was
bubble wrap?
something.
We were talking
Oh,
about that the other day.
bubble, yes, I know. I have that on my, I wrote down bubble wrap, as a matter of fact. That's funny. Bubble or bubbles,
Yeah.
blowing bubbles. So you really have to look. And for some people, I know it takes a second, because they,
Well,
they
some
might be
people
like,
listening to this might be like, I am not blowing bubbles. Are
I'm
you
not
kidding
doing
me?
that.
But
Yeah. And
what would you say
seriously,
to someone like that who's a little bit cynical? Like, how do
oh,
you, yeah, how do
the
you
first thing
that?
I ask is, if someone is being very resistant, I ask, why are you being resistant? What are you not wanting to either look at or break through? What are you clinging so hard to that you're not allowing any joy in your life? How is that serving you? And sometimes it's those hard questions that have to be asked for someone to start going, oh, I didn't realize, because let's face it, we don't always see our own stuff, and that we're maybe, on the victim bus or the struggle bus or the poopy bus or whatever bus it is, we may not realize that we're there because that's a habit too.
Right.
That's a non-serving habit we've gotten into. And so I've had people, when I've done different teachings or different dance classes or whatever, because I teach a healing dance therapy as well, I've had people that were very resistant. And I said, okay, I understand. I just want you to ask yourself, why are you resisting this that is going to set you up for further success? And sometimes when you ask it in those ways, then their guard goes down, because you're not like in their face like some coaches would be. Well, why aren't you doing this? It's good for you. I don't deal well with that. I don't like the in your face blame.
Mm.
I like more of the asking you, why are you not willing to do this? Because eventually, the more that you ask that, that person will finally come to, well, I grew up thinking that it's childish to do that.
Mm.
Or I need to be doing these other things because so and so said, or I have to go about it this way. And you realize that they go, oh, they really want that. They just took someone else's beliefs and made it not okay. And they didn't realize that they did that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I start with those people, and just let them know it's a safe space. That when I'm working with someone or talking, or even with the crowd, it's a safe place to kind of let your guard down. And honestly, if they're not willing to, then maybe just at that moment, at that time, that's where they need to be.
Yeah, for
You know.
sure. Yeah, and we all grew up, having some kind of example in our
Yes.
childhood where, depending on your personality type and how that fit into the family dynamic, you could have been told anything from, "Oh, don't be so shy," or "You need to be more serious," or
Mm-hmm.
"Can't you settle down?" or and we don't realize that that has now become part of the fabric
Yes.
of our thinking, our programming, in our mind.
100%. We
Mhm.
know it starts. I understand the need for this. It's just sort of a non-self-fulfilling prophecy that we create ourselves, and it starts in preschool. What's the first thing when you get in preschool? Sit down, be quiet.
Mhm.
you know don't speak unless you're spoken
Keep your hands
to.
and your legs to yourself.
Yes, exactly. Crisscross applesauce if you have
Don't eat the
kids.
paste or the
Yeah,
crack.
exactly. Don't eat anything other than your lunch.
Mhm.
And then if you are out of the classroom, it's get in the line, person in front of you, person behind, keep your hands to yourself, don't say anything, and you walk a line. And you sit and think about it. We do that all the way up through, I substitute taught for a couple of years and even through middle school. So really, you're not able to break out of that until maybe high school. So by then you're 14, 15. That's a lot of years being told what to do, how to sit, how to move, how to talk. Don't do this. And it's hard to break out of
Mhm.
that. And then of course your parents are, if you act up in class, you're going to get it when you get home. So you kind of get it both. And so it's kind of, it's unfortunately sad. I get it. But, I'm also here to let people know it's okay to color outside the lines and to break free.
Yeah, a friend of mine organized one of these dance therapy sessions. I don't know if it's the
Yeah.
same thing that you do or what it's called or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but it was so interesting because there was a point where it's like, show, that we had like pop music or whatever on, but it was like, dance like you're super depressed or anxious or whatever that low feeling is, and then now
Oh.
dance like you're super happy or super
Mm-hmm.
excited or whatever. And it was so interesting just to not have any rules,
Mm-hmm.
like I wasn't trying to look good,
Yeah.
it was just like expression and
Yes.
just being free. And it's like, sometimes before meetings, this is like I'm telling on myself, but sometimes before meetings, like I'll just dance, I'll put up some music or whatever, and it just helps me to get out of my head because I can be very cerebral and logical because of what I do for a living. And just to get, kind of put that energy back into my
Mhm.
body and get myself grounded a little bit before I get on a call, I feel like I'm so much more centered when I get on the call. And it sounds
Exactly.
super silly to
No.
put on something like Eye of the Tiger or something like that before
Oh,
a
it's a great one.
call, but it works.
or Katy Perry, Roar.
Right.
You know, that's another
There's
really
lots
good
of
one.
good anthems for
Oh
sure.
yes, and you shouldn't think about it though. A lot of the big time speakers will do that same kind of thing because it gets them out of, and it's more of, for a lot of people listening will understand this probably really well. The more business left brain or ego, and it gets you into the serving mind. Because when you're in a serving mindset for your company, your employees, for whoever you're speaking to, or just whatever it is you're doing out in the world, then you're not concerned and you don't care with what comes out, because what comes out and comes through is exactly what's meant for those people,
Right.
for that meeting, whatever. When you're in that ego space is when you get all flustered and you get all angry, and everything comes across as inauthentic. And
Mhm.
I know you've seen people like that.
Oh yeah,
You even
totally.
feel
Like there's a
bad.
total disconnect between
Oh
the brain
yeah.
and the heart. And you can totally
Yes.
tell like they've either memorized their speech
Oh
and they're up there
yes.
just remembering the lines.
Hmm.
Really good actors, for
Oh yes.
example, you can tell that not only do they know the words, but they've really taken the time, like how does that feel and
Hmm.
what kind of expression comes out. And that's the difference, I think, between a really great speaker and one who's just like one note, monotonous. Who
Oh
wants to listen
yes.
to that? No one.
No, especially now because people are smart. They are savvy. They have seen enough coaches and speakers and programs and you name it. They want the authentic, and I can give a speech to, and I did it in Atlanta. It was three different groups in one day, and every speech was a little bit different because I was watching and feeling what they picked up on, what they resonated with, the head shakes and the ahas. And I thought, okay, they're getting this part. I'm going to focus on that. They still got overall the same message. And those are the people that, I want to be like, and then I want others to see that and go, oh, that's what that looks like when you're in the moment and being intentional, instead of just, okay, I gotta say this, I gotta say this, and I gotta go stage, and I gotta go this, and then I gotta go
Right.
home. You
Right.
can pick up on that, and that's exhausting
Totally.
for the audience.
It is. And being able to be in that flow and being able to have that balance of,
Mhm.
when you're speaking, especially, it's like being able to read the room and being that
Yes.
present where you're not in your head, you're not trying to think of what you want to say next, you're listening to the person talking or giving a discussion point, and then you're reacting to that as opposed to, okay, what am I going to say, what am I going to say. And like that's so true what you said. I never thought of like left brain and right brain being like ego versus service.
Mhm.
Like at first I was like, I don't know if I agree with you, but whatever. Like, but I totally can see that. Like your right brain is definitely like the creative,
Mhm.
it's definitely more intuitive. It would be
Yes.
open is really a good
Mhm.
word for it too. Like open to others' feedback, open
Yes.
to even like thoughts that may seemingly come from nowhere that you're
Mhm.
like, not sure if I should trust that or not. And
Mhm.
just saying it and going with it. Like
Yes.
9 times out of 10, I might even say 10 times out of 10, it ends up being exactly what needs to be said.
Oh, wholeheartedly, yes.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
a lot of times it's not even what I planned, because I, and I was guilty of this for a while, of talking with someone or being in a room, and I was so excited. There were things I wanted to say that I wasn't listening to the conversations or feeling the energy. And then I didn't get out of it what I should, and the people didn't get what they needed. And it's like, oh, wait a minute,
Yeah.
and I think a whole lot of things in this world would be, first off, solved quickly. There would be less assumptions, and we would have a much happier, easier place if we would all be in the conversation that we're having instead of around it.
Right.
and letting go of the ego and trying to be right. You
Right.
don't always have to
Totally.
be right,
Right.
you know?
As I say, right. But yes.
Yes, correct.
So true. And you know, one thing that someone taught me, which is I feel goes right along with this, is like, you know, they say, what is it like? It's the number one fear, maybe number two fear of people to public speak,
Oh,
right?
I think
And
it's
it's
the
ahead
number
of
one.
death. Like they're
Yeah.
more afraid of speaking in front of
Yes.
others than dying, which says a lot.
Yes.
Um, but one person was telling me, who's a professional speaker, said, you know, if you're nervous before getting up, I mean, it's normal. It's not
Mhm.
like, you know, even the best speaker is infallible and doesn't get a little bit of butterflies or jitters
Mhm.
before. But if it's all consuming, you know, if it's an unhealthy amount of nervousness, that means that you're making it about you and not them.
Yes.
And if you can
Yes.
just open yourself up to, hey, I'm here to deliver a message and to be of service to these
Mhm.
people, then now it's not about you. And
Yeah.
then the nervousness just dwindles away and you're so much more relaxed and can give that message, and it can be given with emotion and with presence so that it really helps to sink in with,
And
you know, the people listening.
I agree with you 100% because I was even on a stage with, I was on a panel and there were four of us with the host. And here's the thing, you know, a lot of people don't realize most of the time you're not going to be on stage or on a panel without already knowing, for the most part, what you're talking about or what they're going to ask you, you know, because they also don't want to be set up for having some kind of crazy response or whatever. So you'd go on knowing, for the most part, again, what you're going to say. We were sitting backstage getting mic'd up, and every other person had notes. And I was like, why do you have notes? And they said, well, I just want to make sure that I said it. I said, we already submitted our stuff. We know she's only going to set us up to succeed because it would make her look bad as the host if she didn't do that. And secondly, it's your stuff. It's your stuff. I know you know your stuff, and whatever comes out is meant at that moment. And I was so happy that all the rest of them put their notes down. We just went out on stage and had a great panel. But I thought, wow. And these were people that had been speaking for years. And I was like, my goodness, guys, just give from your heart because that's all they want anyway. And here's another thing, too, anyone listening that speaks or realizes they
Don't we
need to
all
be.
though? Like in a way, I just want to say, like for people who are like, this doesn't apply, like it
Oh,
totally does, because
yes.
every day, you know, if you're a business owner or even if you're not, it's
Mhm.
like every day you're somehow presenting some
Oh,
kind of
yes.
message or communication to another that you want them to listen to and take to heart, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. Everything we do, we're either selling or being sold to.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like, in a salesy, creepy, pushy. It's just we are.
No, I sell my children to on going to bed every
I
night.
know. Yes, we do that. And here's the thing for people that, like I was saying, are speakers or realize they need to be in this world of, video, consuming. Everything is more, I mean, we're
Super
consuming
important
things.
nowadays.
Yes, it is to be on video because that also expedites that know, like, and trust factor for
Totally.
people that you're wanting to reach. No one, no one knows what you were going to say. So they don't know if
Right.
you forgot it, if
Right.
you messed it up, they have no clue.
That's right.
That's the awesome thing. So when you learn that, it makes it so easy to speak in a boardroom, in a conference room, on a stage for 5 people, for 50, for 500, 5,000, whatever. Now, yes, you'll still get nervous and butterflies. It just takes that sting out. Like, what if I mess up? What if
Right.
I say the wrong thing? When you know you're giving from the heart and you're just there to serve and bless people with what you have, you don't care. You just
Right.
go and you say what comes through. Because again, nobody's going to know because you didn't give them your notes.
That's right. Well, it's like this conversation. This is like, we didn't have an agenda. It's not like we wanted to
Nope.
go through points 1, 2, 3. It's like
No.
just a conversation, and it's like whatever comes through, we're just trusting that that's, what needs to come through. So
Of course. And I like kind of winging it.
yeah, I do too. Not everyone's comfortable with that, right? But we just
And
talked
that's
about some
sure.
reasons why.
And that's perfectly fine,
Yeah.
and I love things to be conversational, because then people, we when it's conversational, there's more stories that come out, or more examples that are realistic, and then people listening can put themselves in that story and have their own oh yes moments, or oh aha, I get
Totally.
it. Instead of if it was just a point by point, which is great. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. Works for some people. I do better kind of through storytelling and examples.
Yeah, very, very good. Well, speaking of which,
Uh-oh.
tell us a story. Tell us an example of, either a breakthrough that you've personally had using some of these tips that you've shared, or that of a client.
I actually have one that refers to, it's kind of a big one, and it started my health holistic journey,
Mm.
because, we unfortunately are in a society where we want quick fixes or quick results for everything, whether it's in our business, personal lives, healthy, whatever. And when I was 30, I ended up in the hospital twice in about a 12-month period, almost exactly to the day in 12 months. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. What's going on here? One was for my gut, digestive, and one was for my heart. So
Mm.
that was kind of scary, and ended up being on like 5 or 6 different medications. And a lot of people would have been on that for the rest of their life,
Oh,
because they would just say, okay, that's my lot in life. This is
sure.
what I ended up with. And I went, okay, is that the vision of the healthy, happy, fun life that I want? To be tied to doctors, to be tied to visits, to be tied to prescriptions. And I thought, that's just not a good vision for me personally. And so I switched it, but what am I going to have to do? So I started working really hard. I've gotten off every single medication. I haven't had any shots, no vaccines of any kind, no antibiotics, no nothing in over 16 years.
Wow.
So you can set your mind to anything, whether it's health and making a switch, whether it's in business and you're not happy with something and switching. I just decided this is what I was going to do. So I started looking for people, and I'm really big believer on mentors or coaches, people helping you, and then just doing those steps. So that was one of the things that I did for myself, because let's face it, you can have a fantastic business, you can have a ton of money in the bank, you can have a very healthy relationship. And if your health is not there, by the time you get to the point where you've created a legacy or whatever and you want to enjoy it, you're not going to have the health to do it.
Right. So true. Like,
Or other things.
health is paramount to everything. If you don't have
Yes,
health, it's hard to have anything else, right?
it is. And,
Um,
and that's a story a lot of people can relate to, is
yeah.
health, because whether or not you've had your own health story, you probably have somebody in your family or a close friend that has had a situation. And I actually told a good news story today. It was about a church in Dallas who, through their donations, paid off $2.6 million in medical debt for over 2,400 families,
Whoa.
because medical debt accounts for about $66.5 million of medical debt. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's amazing. Oh, I'm sorry, I said
Talk
that wrong.
about a
It's
ripple effect too. Like,
Yes, it's 66.5% of bankruptcies. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Is due to medical debt. Sixty-six and a half
wow.
percent.
Yeah, and 2,400 families they were
I
able to
know.
affect. That's amazing.
Yes,
That's really a
because
cool story.
finances are a big stressor for a lot of people. And granted, talking about money, there's a lot of people that have a ton of money and are just as unhappy as
Right.
people that have what I would say like just enough. So money is not an indicator of happiness.
Right.
That has to come from within. And so, like I said, that was just a story on the health piece. because health does affect, I do like to say health affects everything from your waist to your wallet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah. I can totally see that. Yeah, and what you said about our minds being so powerful and being
Yes.
able to um, and we're not advocating that people go off their medication or anything like
No,
that. No, no,
no,
no. We're
no.
not saying anything like that. No, no, no.
No, no, no.
That's what you did, but
Yes.
it's interesting. I've been studying the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Are you familiar with his work?
I have
Becoming
heard.
superhuman or something like
Yeah,
that.
yes.
And he's a medical doctor,
Mhm.
and he is actually advocating a lot of quantum um,
Yes.
psychology or medicine, or I don't
Mhm.
know what exactly he calls it, but it's becoming that picture perfect version of health for you, and he offers some really cool tips about how to actually go about doing that.
Mhm.
So
I love that.
yeah, it's pretty neat. All right. Well, any final thoughts for us or anything else?
Oh my gosh, well, I could talk forever. You know that. I do want to circle back to one thing
Yeah.
because we talked about affirmations and then,
Yeah.
of course, we got off on a tangent. I do want to say something, in addition to the gratitude, talking about affirmations, because I know a lot of people hear about that and they think, oh, okay, I'll just start putting some affirmations in, I am whatever, or I have whatever. The thing with affirmations that really gets me out in the world when you see people talking about this is, yes, they're great if you put the action in behind it.
Well, and also if you believe it too, right?
Yes,
Because you could have a lot of resistance to
hmm
whatever affirmation, and you could be sitting there saying the affirmation, and then in your mind you're like, you're
yeah,
lying.
whatever. That's
You
not going
know?
to happen.
Well, yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, before I forget, I just wanted to say, like, I've actually come up with or actually I was taught this by one of my mentors, is how to frame an affirmation so that
Mm.
it gets rid of all the resistance.
Oh, share. Please share.
And so instead of saying I am
hmm
or I have, you just add, what would it feel like, or what does it feel like to have or to be, and then fill in the blank.
hmm
And what that does is, I don't know if it's NLP, neuro linguistic programming, or what, but what it does is it actually, you know, causes you to ask yourself, well, what would that feel like?
hmm
And then pretty soon you start feeling that, which just makes it
Yes.
believable.
hmm
And then eventually, yeah, you could have the I am statements and things like that. But
Yes, and here's another way you could do that. I like that for someone that may be a bit resistant and in that place of, and they say it, and the first thing their subconscious mind says, "Oh yeah, right, you don't deserve
right.
that," or whatever. Another way is, like some people would say, I have $1 million in the bank, and of course their mind starts to go, okay, you don't really have that. You don't even have $1,000 in the bank. What are you talking about? You can also say, I am happy that I am creating $1 million so that,
Yes, the I am ing statement. Yes,
yeah,
totally.
that, or I'm thrilled, whatever word you want to put in there, because it makes your mind go to the, oh, I'm creating,
Yes.
or I'm thrilled that I'm in the process of having, so that's that nice little, your step is awesome. And then having this too, there's a great couple
I love
of
that.
intermediary to getting to the where you finally believe that you can have it, you're worthy to have it, and it's yours. You just have to step into it and it'll be there.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
This has been an awesome conversation, Dorci. I'm so
Thank
glad to have you.
you.
Now, how can people learn more about you?
Well, they can go to my website. It's probably one of the easiest way to see all kinds of stuff about me, and that's playwithmeretreats.com. That's probably the quickest,
Okay,
easiest way.
awesome. I'll put that in the show notes for people. That's
Okay,
great.
great.
And then,
Perfect.
do you have a free gift or something that you would like to offer the listeners?
I do. The happiness or the habitual handbook, the habitual happiness handbook that I was talking about
Yes, I
that you
downloaded it. It's
downloaded.
fabulous.
I would love for people to be able to have that because it's now, okay, don't get frustrated. It's about, 35-ish pages. However, just do like one thing at a time, and there's 7 different steps. So that is bit.ly/happiness handbook. Real easy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I'll put all of the links and the app suggestions in the show notes as
Yeah.
well.
Perfect. Perfect.
An awesome
Yay.
conversation. Well, thank you so much.
I am
So
just so
delightful.
tickled. Well, I just had an absolute ball. We could chat forever, or as I like to
Oh,
say, ad nauseum.
it's great. Well, good. Well, we'll I am so happy again to have you. And
Thank you.
yeah, I hope to keep in touch
Oh,
and
oh, honey,
yeah.
we aren't going anywhere. I'm like, I forget, where are you from again? I totally
I
forgot.
live in Utah. Yeah.
Okay, that's right, Utah. Well, hey, I'm here in Texas from the South, so you're now like a sister. You're a sister from another mister, so you're not going anywhere.
Awesome. Yeah. I actually next time I'm in town, I'll have to come visit.
Oh, yes, that's a definite.
Yeah, we have family, so good. All right. Well, you take care.
Okay, you too. Bye bye now.